early life. Nagato grew up on the outskirts of Omegakure with his parents, Fuso and Issei, unaware that Madara Uchiha had secretly transplanted his Rinnegan into him during his early years. During the Second Shinobi World War, Nagato and his parents sought refuge at home, trying to avoid the fighting that consumed the land. One day, two Konoha ninjas broke into their home, searching for food. Nagato's parents tried to slip away unnoticed. They were discovered. In the struggle that followed, they attacked the ninjas to protect their son. The Konoha ninjas killed them in self-defense. Only after it was over did they realize what they had done. They had slain innocent civilians. They tried to apologize. Nagato watched his parents die. Overcome with grief, Nagato awakened the Rinnegan for the first time and killed both ninjas in revenge. He buried his parents himself, and just like that, Nagato became an orphan. With the war consuming Omegakure, resources were scarce. Nagato wandered alone, searching for food, for shelter, for anything. No one helped him. Until one day, he collapsed from hunger. That was when Konan and Yahiko found him. They were orphans too. The three banded together. They scavenged for food. They survived. And slowly, they began to dream. A world without war. A world without endless death. Yahiko believed in that dream with everything he had. And Nagato followed him. To change the world, they knew they had to become shinobi. With no other options left, they sought out the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Orochimaru offered to end their suffering by killing them. Jiraiya refused. Burdened by guilt for his role in the war, Jiraiya chose to teach them how to survive. He found them shelter. He taught them the basics, but he refused to teach them ninjutsu. One day, while gathering food, the orphans were confronted by an Iwagakure Chunin. To protect his friends, Nagato killed him using the Rinnegan. When Jiraiya arrived, he saw Nagato's eyes. He recognized them immediately. The Rinnegan, the legendary eyes of the Sage of Six Paths. Jiraiya reconsidered everything. He decided to teach them ninjutsu. Nagato felt guilt for the life he had taken. Jiraiya told him the truth. Sometimes, violence and personal sacrifice were necessary to protect others. Jiraiya believed Nagato was the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths, and that one day, he would bring peace to the world. For 3 years, Jiraiya trained Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko. Nagato mastered everything with ease, thanks to the Rinnegan. When they could defeat Jiraiya's shadow clones, he left them to walk their own path. The three orphans formed Akatsuki, with Yahiko as its leader. Their goal was simple: end war. Akatsuki's message spread quickly. Support grew. Their influence expanded throughout Omegakure. During the Third Shinobi World War, they encountered a man calling himself Madara Uchiha. In truth, it was Obito. He offered to help them, to teach Nagato how to unlock the Rinnegan's full power. Yahiko refused. He believed Madara sought only to manipulate them. As Akatsuki grew stronger, Hanzo of the Salamander saw them as a threat. He offered an alliance. At the meeting meant to finalize it, everything collapsed. Yahiko and Nagato were ambushed. Konan was taken hostage. Hanzo gave Nagato a choice: kill Yahiko or watch Konan die. Yahiko made the choice himself. He impaled himself on Nagato's kunai. With his final breath, he told Nagato to fulfill their dream. Nagato broke. Though his legs were destroyed, he reclaimed Konan. Then, he summoned the demonic statue of the Outer Path. Hanzo's men were annihilated. Hanzo escaped. Nagato cut the symbol of Omegakure from his forehead protector. He had severed his ties with the village. Crippled, Nagato used Yahiko's body to create the Deva path, and pain was born. Nagato realized something terrifying. Peace would never come willingly. Only pain could force the world to change. Using the Rinnegan, he controlled 6 bodies, 6 paths of pain. Akatsuki became mercenaries. War funded war. Years later, Pain and Konan started a civil war. The people of Amegakure believed Pain was a god. Hanzo was cornered and killed. Pain felt no satisfaction, only disgust at how far Hanzo had fallen. He erased every remaining ally. Pain ruled Amegakure absolutely. And from that moment on, the world would learn peace through suffering. Kazekage Rescue Mission. After Gaara is captured by Deidara and Sasori, Pain convinces Akatsuki to begin the extraction of the one tail from Gaara's body. As the extraction process unfolds over the course of 3 days, Konoha's ninja begin to converge on their location in response. Pain employs his shape-shifting technique to send copies of Kisame Hoshigaki and Itachi Uchiha to divert their attention, while the copies are eventually defeated. They successfully buy enough time for the extraction to proceed, and the one tail is sealed. As the rest of Akatsuki disperses, Pain gives instructions to Deidara and Sasori to handle the Konoha ninja, who have arrived outside their lair following the captures of the 2 tails and 3 tails. Pain again gathers Akatsuki to seal the remaining beasts during this meeting. Pain summons interrupt a fight that Haiden, the second newest member, was engaged in. Haiden, frustrated, demands an explanation regarding Akatsuki's ultimate goal. Pain unperturbed answers by discussing the current state of the world and how Akatsuki plans to capitalize on the growing chaos to seize control, following Itachi's trail. Before Akatsuki prepares to seal the 4 tails, Pain informs its members about the deaths of Hidan and Kakuzu, as well as the news that Sasuke Uchiha has killed Orochimaru shortly after the 4 tails is sealed. Zetsu reports that both Deidara and Tobi died in a battle with Sasuke. Pain expresses indifference towards Tobi's death, but urges the remaining members of Akatsuki to mourn Deidara, acknowledging his contribution to the organization. Once the meeting adjourns, Pain and Konan meet with Tobi in Amegakure. Tobi instructs them to go after Naruto Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails, in order to capture him for Akatsuki's plans. Jiraiya the gallant a shinobi's end before setting out to search for Naruto. Pain senses an intruder arriving in Amegakure, unable to identify the intruder. He senses their immense power. He sends Konan to track them down while he deploys the animal path to intercept. After a short while, Konan reports that the intruder is Jiraiya. Surprised, Pain orders her to kill him if she can, while he moves the animal path to confront Jiraiya upon arriving. Pain frees Konan from the restraints Jiraiya had placed on her and sends her away. Although Jiraiya doesn't recognize the body, he assumes that Pain is Nagato. Recognizing his Rinnegan, Jiraiya expresses his disappointment that Nagato has turned away from his once righteous path and now leads the criminal organization Akatsuki. Pain, declaring himself a god, explains that his plan to liberate the world through destruction is the definition of righteousness. In response to the animal path summons, Jiraiya calls upon Gamaken to hold them off while he prepares himself in his chameleon form. Pain sends a multi-headed dog, a drill-beaked bird, and a giant ox to attack. But Jiraiya successfully enters Sage Mode with the help of Shima and Fukasaku. Shima locates and neutralizes the chameleon, forcing Pain to summon the Preta and human paths into the fray. Jiraiya blinds the human path and attacks with Sage Art Goemon, which is absorbed by the Prada path. Jiraiya makes several attempts to attack the human and animal paths from behind, but both block him, suspecting their shared vision. Jiraiya withdraws as the 3 paths pursue him. They eventually hear the singing of Shima and Fukasaku as they prepare another jutsu. The paths track them down and try to stop them, but Jiraiya is ready after confirming that the paths share vision. Jiraiya distracts the Prada path and immobilizes the human path, allowing him to fight the animal path one-on-one, long enough for Hashirama and Fukasaku to cast Toad Confrontation, singing while the paths are caught. Jiraiya stabs them with stone swords and believes they, and by extension, Nagato, are dead as he leaves the Asura path attacks him from behind. Severing his arms, the full 6 paths of pain with the 3 he defeated restored by the Naraka path confront Jiraiya. He recognizes the Diva path as Yahiko, causing him to question whether pain is truly Nagato. After a prolonged battle, Jiraiya retreats into his barrier. Toad Gourd Prison, the animal path follows him, but ends up getting captured as its last act. It stabs Jiraiya with a black receiver. Jiraiya contemplates returning to Konoha with the information he's learned, but decides this is his only chance to uncover the secret of pain. He returns to the battlefield with Fukasaku and draws the remaining path's attention. In doing so, he figures out the truth. The Asura path crushes his throat before he can tell Fukasaku what he's learned. The other path stab him, believing him dead. As they leave, Jiraiya uses the last of his energy to etch a coded message into Fukasaku's back. The paths try to stop him, but Fukasaku escapes with the message. Jiraiya's body sinks into the sea, and pain holds a moment of silence for his passing, power, and reincarnation. In the anime Kabuto Yakushi, a brilliant but twisted medical ninja utilizes the impure world reincarnation technique to bring back Nagato, one of the most powerful figures in the ninja world. His goal is to unleash Nagato, formidable abilities against Team 7, who had previously defeated many of his subordinates. However, upon summoning Nagato, Kabuto quickly realizes that the reincarnation is incomplete. Nagato body seems to lack full control, and Kabuto wonders if there's something wrong with the ritual. This initial failure raises doubts for Kabuto about his methods, but he remains determined to fulfill his role in the greater war that is on the horizon. As the 4th Shinobi World War looms, Kabuto, recognizing the magnitude of the conflict, approaches Tobi, the masked figure behind the Akatsuki organization. With an offer, Kabuto proposes an alliance between the two, as both share similar goals to manipulate the world and gain power. Despite Kabuto's early failure with Nagato, he sees an opportunity to redeem himself and contribute to Tobi's war plans in exchange for his cooperation. Kabuto agrees to reincarnate several powerful members of Akatsuki to strengthen their forces. Kabuto goes on to perform the impure world reincarnation again, this time successfully bringing back 5 of the most feared and influential Akatsuki members: Nagato, Itachi, Uchiha, Sasori, Deidari, and the enigmatic Zetsu. These reincarnated bodies are used by Kabuto as pawns in the ongoing battle against the allied shinobi forces. The idea is to use their unmatched abilities to turn the tide in Tobi's favor during the war, furthering his agenda of capturing the tailed beasts and ultimately achieving his goal of reviving the 10 tails and casting the infinite Tsukuyomi. Nagato, though brought back as a lifeless shell controlled by Kabuto, retains some of his memories and ideals, which makes his role even more significant. Kabuto, while exploiting the power of the reincarnated ninja, also uses his intimate knowledge of their abilities to manipulate them to his will. But Kabuto is far from being in complete control, though he has the power to command them in battle. He soon realizes that the personalities and past relationships of these figures will complicate his attempts to fully control them. Nagato resurrection is particularly crucial because of his Rinnegan, one of the most coveted dojutsu in the ninja world. This power allows Nagato to control multiple bodies simultaneously, and with his immense chakra reserves, he becomes a formidable weapon for Kabuto. However, Kabuto's own weaknesses and limitations along with the personalities and emotions that each reincarnated Akatsuki member carries, cause friction within the ranks of their forces, especially as they come into contact with old enemies. Kabuto's initial failure with the Nagato reincarnation, followed by his strategic alliance with Tobi, sets the stage for some of the most intense battles in the Fourth Shinobi World War. While Kabuto tries to control the revived members of Akatsuki and manipulate them into aiding Tobi's cause, the reincarnated figures, including Nagato, begin to wrestle with their own sense of purpose, leading to surprising twists in the ongoing conflict. When the Fourth Shinobi World War begins, Nagato is mobilized along with Kabuto, collection of reincarnated ninjas, despite being revived. Nagato is still unable to move on his own and is carried by Itachi Uchiha. They discuss Akatsuki, realizing how little they actually knew about the organization. Both were mere pawns, controlled by Tobi, who used their dojutsu for his own purposes now revived. They are once again being manipulated by Kabuto. For the same reason, Nagato consents Kabuto's control and communicates with Itachi. They are soon confronted by Naruto and Killer Bee. Nagato is glad to see Naruto has gained control over the Nine Tails, but isn't surprised as they both trained under Jiraiya. Kabuto forces Nagato and Itachi to attack with the Nagato summoning animals to aid in his movement. Nagato gives Naruto and Bee advice on countering his summons, and jutsu warning them about Itachi's abilities. Itachi, however, is able to break free from Kabuto's control with a failsafe he left on Naruto before his death, fearing Nagato might also regain his consciousness. Kabuto suppresses Nagato personality and forces him into battle against the trio. Itachi teams up with Naruto and Bee to fight Nagato. Using his chameleon summon, Nagato hides to move undetected, launching a powerful Shinra Tensei at BB counters with a version 2 lariat. But Nagato absorbs the chakra from the Eight Tails, rejuvenating himself and gaining the ability to move freely. He prepares to kill Bee and extract his soul, but Itachi interrupts with Susanoo, freeing Naruto and Bee from Nagato. Control Kabuto, distracted by the fight, commands Nagato to use Chibaku Tensei. Itachi, Naruto, and Bee use their most powerful long-range attacks to destroy the growing planetoid as Kabuto is preoccupied with its destruction. Itachi strikes him with Susanoo's sword of Totsuka, freeing Nagato consciousness. Nagato apologizes to Naruto for his actions, both in life and death, lamenting that his story was unworthy of following Jiraiya's teachings. He expresses his hope that Naruto's story ends in such a way that no one will remember his own disappointment. Nagato bids farewell as his body is sealed. Six Tails Unleashed. Pain replaces the animal path with a new body and prepares to go after Naruto. In the anime, he is first sent to Kirigakure to capture the Six Tails. The new animal path summons the multi-headed dog to scout the area where the Six Tails Jinchuriki Utakata was last seen. The dog comes across a group of Hunter Nin LED by Sarutobi and quickly slaughters them all. Utakata eventually arrives, searching for Sarutobi, but instead encounters Pain, who swiftly captures him. The Six Tails is later extracted from Orochimaru's body. Pain's assault on Konoha. Pain and the Six Paths of Pain arrive on the outskirts of Konoha, eliminating all the border guards. He outlines the plan. The Asura animal and Pratya paths will destroy Konoha's infrastructure and draw attention from its ninja. While the human Diva and Naraka paths search for Naruto's location, the animal path infiltrates the village alone, making Konoha's sensors believe there's only one intruder, and once inside it, summons the others. The Diva path is confronted by Kakashi Hatake, who deduces Pain's strategy. Kakashi is nearly defeated, but he manages to coordinate Konoha's forces to create an opening, the Asura path, shields the Deva path, and the latter destroys everything in sight. Kakashi, exhausted, sends Choji Akimichi to the fifth Hokage, but the remaining Asura path attempts to stop him only to be intercepted by Kakashi's Kamui, sacrificing himself in the process. Meanwhile, the remaining paths of pain continue their mission. The Prada path finds the Animal Path's black receivers, and the Diva path confronts the Hokage, demanding Naruto's surrender after a fierce exchange. The Animal Path assaults the building where Jiraiya's captured prisoner is being held and kills him. The Human Path discovers Shizune, and after reading her mind learns Naruto is at Mount Myoboku. Pain's frustration grows as Konoha's ninja begin understanding how the six paths work. Determined to show Konoha true pain, he plans to destroy the village. He summons the others to a safe distance, while the Diva path uses Shinra Tensei, a large-scale attack that levels the area. As the smoke clears, Naruto arrives with Toad allies, and after a battle, Pain's paths are restored, and Naruto is captured. Shima and Fukasaku attempt to perform a genjutsu, but Pain kills Fukasaku and captures Naruto. He lectures Naruto about the cycle of hatred and questions if there's a better way to bring peace, just as Pain is about to kill Naruto. Hinata, Hyuga intervenes, sacrificing herself to save Naruto in rage. Naruto transforms into a more powerful form, forcing Pain to shift dimensions after a long battle. Nagato, the real leader behind Pain, finally agrees to use his remaining strength to revive everyone killed in the battle with his life fading. Nagato warns Naruto about the difficult path ahead, but expresses faith in his solution for peace as Nagato dies. He wonders if the circumstances leading to his death were the work of a true god, leaving Naruto to continue his journey of peace and justice. Tobi's betrayal and confusion. Tobi, or Obito Uchiha, feels personally betrayed by Nagato. Final act of selflessness, the man who had once been his loyal pawn devoted to his Eye of the Moon, plan had chosen to sacrifice himself to revive the villagers of Konoha, instead of furthering the grand plan for peace through the infinite Tsukuyomi. This betrayal is a sharp blow to Tobi, who had relied on Nagato to fulfill the plan. He had always believed that to Nagato, firm convictions about bringing peace through domination and control were unwavering, and so he cannot fathom that Nagato would give his life for the people he had once sought to destroy. Tobi, consumed by his own twisted ideals, struggles to understand the change in Nagato's heart. Tobi, bewildered by Nagato's sudden change of heart, seeks out to Naruto. He wants to know what Naruto could have said to sway Nagato, believing that Nagato's surrender was impossible, and that only someone with the same power could have influenced him. However, Naruto's assertion that Nagato truly desired peace and was just seeking a way to achieve it falls on deaf ears for Tobi, who is unwilling to accept that his own ideals could have been so deeply flawed. Tobi, unable to comprehend Nagato's final decision, is consumed by a sense of betrayal, believing that Nagato should have remained a tool for his cause. Tobi's pursuit of power. Following Nagato's death, Tobirama realizes that without Nagato Rinnegan, his plans to dominate the world through the Eye of the Moon are in jeopardy. Nagato's eyes were the key to achieving the ultimate power he needed, and without them, Tobirama's ambitions would be hindered in an attempt to fulfill his ultimate goals. Tobi sets out to find Nagato's corpse and retrieve his Rinnegan. However, when he finds Nagato's lifeless body, he is faced with an unexpected sight. Nagato's corpse is still smiling as though mocking him. Even in death, this smile sends a wave of frustration and anger through Tobi, who interprets it as Nagato's final act of defiance, as if even in death, Nagato is continuing to mock him for his failure to fulfill their shared vision. Conan's loyalty to Nagato legacy. Conan, who had once been a member of Akatsuki and a close ally of Nagato and Yahiko, now faces the consequences of the choices made by her fallen comrades. Nagato. Death leaves her broken-hearted but resolute, having followed Nagato's change of heart. Konan vows to uphold the ideals that the original Akatsuki had represented: peace through understanding rather than domination. She decides to distance herself from Tobi and the corrupted Akatsuki that had become nothing more than a tool for his twisted ambitions. Konan's dedication to Nagato's original vision leads her to Amegakure, where she decides to honor the memory of both Nagato and Yahiko. She takes their bodies back to the village where she creates a secret shrine dedicated to them. She lays their bodies on beds of flowers, a final act of reverence for the men who had both suffered and fought so much for peace with this. She withdraws from the Akatsuki, hoping to forge a new path for herself in the village that once stood for ideals of hope and unity. Konan's death. Konan's path of resistance, however, is short-lived. Tobi, in his relentless pursuit of power, comes looking for Nagato's Rinnegan. He demands Konan's cooperation in revealing the location of Nagato's body, hoping to complete his plans for world domination. Despite Konan's resistance, she is eventually forced to reveal where Nagato's body is hidden in a desperate bid to stop Tobi from further corrupting the ideals Nagato had fought for. Konan attempts to kill him. However, Tobi's power proves overwhelming, and she is ultimately killed in her attempt to protect the legacy of Nagato and Yahiko. Her death is a final tragic blow to the ideals that Nagato had once fought for, and to the hope that a better world could be created through unity and understanding. Naruto responds to Nagato legacy. Naruto, deeply affected by his encounter with Nagato, is struck by the profound impact Nagato's story had on him, despite Nagato's past mistakes and the devastation he caused. Naruto is compelled to try and carry on Nagato's desire for peace. Nagato, tragic past his journey from idealism to disillusionment, and his final act of redemption through sacrifice resonate deeply with Naruto. He sees Nagato not as an enemy, but as someone who had suffered the same pain, loss, and hatred that he himself had endured. Nagato's actions spark a desire in Naruto to bring about peace in the world, but in a way that does not repeat the cycle of hatred and revenge that plagued Nagato's life. Naruto resolves to end the ongoing cycle of violence that had been perpetuated by the shinobi world for generations. He wants to create a world where people no longer have to suffer from the mistakes of the past, a world where the cycle of hatred is broken once and for all. Naruto's compassion and his willingness to forgive Nagato for his past mistakes become the defining elements of his journey. He chooses to honor Nagato's sacrifice by following through on his own quest for peace. Despite the many obstacles and enemies that still stand in his way, Naruto refuses to let the cycle of hatred continue and commits himself to becoming the Hokage, not through power or dominance, but through understanding and compassion, the end of the cycle. With Nagato's death and the passing of his ideals, the cycle of violence and hatred is left for Naruto to confront. He has learned that true peace cannot be achieved through force or domination, but through understanding and the willingness to forgive. Nagato's story is a tragic one, but it serves as a lesson for Naruto, a lesson about the importance of bonds, the consequences of revenge, and the power of hope. As Naruto continues on his journey to become Hokage, he carries with him the lessons he learned from Nagato. He will not let the mistakes of the past define the future, and he will fight for a world where people can live in peace without the fear of war or hatred. In the end, Naruto's story becomes the antidote to the legacy of pain and suffering that Nagato left behind.